There is a particular kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with your body. You wake up tired not from lack of sleep, but from a mind that never actually stopped working. A conversation from 3 days ago replays. A decision you already made gets reopened. A future that has not happened yet is already being rehearsed, argued with, feared. If this sounds familiar, you already know that willpower alone has not fixed it. Before we go further, write one sentence in the comments describing the thought that visits you most often. Uninvited. Naming it is the first act of authority over it. Everything that follows will show you what to do with what you just named. Overthinking rarely feels like a problem when it begins. It feels like responsibility. It feels like preparation. You tell yourself that if you turn the situation over enough times, you will finally see the angle that protects you. So you replay the email you sent, searching for the tone you might have gotten wrong. You rehearse tomorrow's conversation until the real one, when it arrives, feels like a rerun. You lie awake solving problems that solved themselves hours ago. What you want is clarity. What you get is static. What you want is control. What you get is a mind that treats every uncertain outcome as an emergency, requiring your constant supervision. The strange part is that the more you think, the less you actually decide. The more you analyze, the further you drift from action. Somewhere along the way, thinking stopped being a tool and became a hiding place. And the question worth sitting with is this: what exactly are you hoping to find the 100th time you think it through, that you did not find the first 99? The Stoics did not see the mind as something to silence. They saw it as something to govern. Epictetus taught that our disturbance never comes from events themselves, but from the judgments we silently attach to them. Overthinking, seen this way, is not too much thought. It is unexamined thought running without a hand on the wheel. What follows are 10 practices, drawn from that older discipline of self-governance, each one addressing a different layer of the noise. Some will feel immediate. Others will only make sense once you have lived with them. Begin with the first, because it changes how you receive everything after it. Strategy. 1. Notice the moment right before a thought pulls you under. There is a gap there, smaller than a breath, where the thought has arrived but you have not yet followed it. Most people never see this gap because they are already inside the spiral by the time they notice anything at all. Marcus Aurelius kept returning to a single discipline in his private writings: examining impressions before granting them belief. Not suppressing them, examining them. The practical version is simple. When a thought seizes you, pause and ask one question: is this something happening now or something my mind is rehearsing? Say it silently, even once. That single act of naming interrupts the automatic momentum that overthinking depends on. You are not fighting the thought. You are simply refusing to follow it blindly. This alone will not empty your mind, but it will teach you something most people never learn: that thoughts arrive uninvited, yet following them is still a choice. Strategy. 2. Once you can catch a thought before it drags you under, a harder question appears. Why does your mind keep returning to the same handful of worries night after night, as if standing guard over them will change the outcome? Seneca observed that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, rehearsing disasters that never arrive to spare ourselves surprise. But rehearsal is not protection. It is a tax paid in advance on a future that has not been earned yet. Try this tonight. When a worry repeats itself, ask directly, has thinking about this changed anything since the last time I thought it? Usually the honest answer is no. The pattern is not solving anything. It is simply familiar, and the mind mistakes familiarity for usefulness. Seeing this clearly does not end the habit immediately, but it removes its disguise, and once a habit loses its disguise, it becomes far easier to set down. Strategy 3. Even once you see the pattern clearly, something keeps feeding it, and that something is usually outside you before it is inside you. Consider how much of your mental noise begins with information you did not need. A headline, a comparison, a message you check compulsively, hoping it settles something that was never actually unsettled to begin with. Every input becomes raw material for another loop. The Stoics valued a deliberate simplicity, not as deprivation but as protection for the mind's limited attention. So choose one input this week and remove it. The news cycle before bed, the endless scrolling first thing in the morning. Replace it with 10 minutes of silence or unhurried reading. What you will notice is not immediate peace, but something quieter. A reduction in the raw material your overthinking usually feeds on. Have you noticed which input feeds your own loops the most? Strategy. 4. With less noise coming in, You eventually face the part most people avoid, which is that some of what you are turning over cannot actually be resolved by thinking at all. It can only be accepted. Epictetus divided existence into what is within our power and what is not, and placed almost everything we worry about, other people's opinions, outcomes, timing, into the second category. Overthinking often is the mind's refusal to accept this division. It keeps working on a problem as though enough effort could move it into the column of things we control. The practical shift is a short daily inventory. Take the thought that is looping and ask plainly, is this mine to decide or mine only to respond to? If it is the second, your only real task is choosing your response well. This does not remove difficulty from your life. It removes the illusion that thinking harder was ever going to remove it for you. Strategy 5. Acceptance changes your relationship to a problem, but it does not automatically create room inside your day to practice it. That room has to be built deliberately, because a mind in constant motion rarely stops on its own. Seneca wrote to a friend that life is not short, but that we make it so by wasting so much of it in restlessness and distraction. The same applies to a single day. Without a deliberate pause, one task bleeds into the next, and the mind never gets a moment to settle before the next demand arrives. Build one short interval into your day, 10 minutes, where nothing is required of you except sitting with your own thoughts unfiltered. Not scrolling, not planning, simply present. Most people find this uncomfortable at first because the noise gets louder before it quiets. But this discomfort is not failure. It is the noise finally being heard instead of avoided, which is the necessary first step toward it settling. Strategy 6. That discomfort often traces back to something specific: a conversation left unfinished, a decision never fully made, an apology never given or received. These unclosed loops are frequently the real engine behind overthinking. Disguised as random worry when they are actually unfinished business the mind keeps trying to complete. Socrates built his entire practice around thorough self-examination, believing that an unexamined matter left to fester would eventually distort a person's whole thinking. The practical step is direct. Identify one unresolved situation currently occupying your mental space. Then take one concrete action toward closing it this week. A message sent, a conversation had, a decision finally made, even if imperfectly. You are not required to resolve everything. You are required to stop leaving the door open for your mind to keep walking back through. What is the one unfinished loop you have been avoiding closing? The one your mind keeps circling back to uninvited. Strategy 7. Closing old loops frees attention, but attention itself is a skill that has likely grown weaker from years of divided focus, and skills that weaken do not repair themselves without practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about the mind's power to concentrate itself entirely on the task directly in front of it, treating scattered attention as a kind of self-inflicted wound. Most overthinking thrives precisely because attention is thin and unfocused, drifting easily from the present into hypothetical futures. Strengthen this deliberately. Choose one task today and give it your complete undivided attention for its full duration, without checking your phone, without half thinking about something else. Notice how difficult this actually is at first. That difficulty is information, not failure. It shows you exactly how fragmented your attention has become, and fragmentation, once seen clearly, can finally begin to be rebuilt through the same deliberate repetition that weakened it in the first place. Strategy 8. As attention strengthens, something else becomes possible, a kind of distance between you and your own thoughts that did not exist before. This distance is not detachment from life. It is the ability to observe a thought without immediately becoming it. Epictetus described the difference between an impression and our judgment about that impression, insisting the two were never the same thing, even though they feel identical in the moment. Practice this by giving your recurring thought a name, calling it simply the loop or the worry whenever it arises. This small linguistic shift creates separation. You are no longer thinking the thought. You are noticing that the thought is present. That distinction, subtle as it sounds, is often the difference between being consumed by a feeling and simply observing one pass through you like weather. Present but not permanent. Powerful but no longer commanding your full obedience without question. Strategy 9. Distance from your thoughts naturally raises a deeper question, one most people never ask directly. Whose opinion of you are you actually protecting when you overthink a conversation or replay how you were perceived? Much of our internal noise is not really about the event itself, but about being judged for it. Epictetus taught that seeking control over other people's opinions is asking for authority you were never granted in the first place. The practical exercise is uncomfortable but clarifying. The next time you catch yourself rehearsing how you appeared to someone, ask directly, would I still make this same choice if no one were watching or judging it at all? Often, the honest answer reveals that you already know what you value. The noise was never really about the decision. It was about approval, and approval was never something your peace was meant to depend on. Strategy 10. Everything before this has been practice, but practice only becomes identity through repetition, and this final habit is what carries the previous 9 forward once the video ends and ordinary life resumes. Marcus Aurelius wrote his private reflections each evening, not to record events, but to examine how he had responded to them. Close each day with a brief, honest review, not of what happened to you, but of how your mind handled what happened. Where did you catch a thought early? Where did you follow one too far? This is not self-criticism. It is the quiet discipline of a person building a different relationship with their own mind, one day at a time. If you had to choose one practice from today to actually carry into this coming week, which one would change the most for you? You did not come here to become a person who never has a difficult thought again. No Stoic ever promised that, and neither will this. What changes is not the presence of difficulty, but your relationship to it. You now have 10 ways to meet your own mind with more authority than noise. Write in the comments which one you are starting with tonight. If this way of thinking is useful to you, stay and keep practicing it here. A mind is not detoxed once. It is governed day by day, thought by thought, until governing it simply becomes who you are.